So,
Don't let Guido Schäfer hear that. The guy who never got relegated with Mainz when he played
yeah,
in
well,
the
he
second
he don't
division.
listen to us anyway.
Good evening and welcome to RBLE Global Tracks, which is Leipzig's very first RB Leipzig podcast in English. This one's brought to you by Richard and Mario, and amongst us we are season ticket holders, passionate supporters, and not so neutral local pundits. And both of us have been following Leipzig football since our childhood days. So, if you want to hear about RB Leipzig, capture the mood of the fans, which is not so great at the moment, in the city. And if you want to go beyond numbers and statistics, you are in the right place. And we're delighted to welcome you on board. So let's go. Auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs. So, Richard, how are you
This evening.
today? Of all days.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were just about to finish your sentence. I'm fine. I spent the whole weekend with some friends in Görlitz, which is a
Wow.
pretty nice city in eastern Saxony. And we took care of our livers by checking out the local breweries. And yeah, I had a nice weekend. Went home today and had a little time for preparation for our show tonight.
But it wasn't perfect, was it? Because you don't have a hangover.
No. You can always only drink 2 beers, the first and the last one.
That's true. That's so true. Wise man. Listen to the wise man. So, Richard, glad to have you here. What are we going to talk about today? I mean, there's an obvious choice, but do enlighten us, please.
Okay, we're going to do a short show tonight. So we talk about our key takeaways from that embarrassing performance against Mainz 05. And
Hello.
after that, we will estimate our chances to win on Tuesday evening in Maracana and
Why
Belgrade.
not? Why not? If you don't try, let's go. Good. Let's get started. Yeah, painful watching yesterday, to be honest. Quite a few supporters were out in Mainz in that stadium, which is surrounded by fields and a little hill. It's so picturesque. And you heard them a couple of times. It was rainy. It's Fritz Walter Fußballwetter. And, we lost 2-0. And I think we deservedly lost 2-0. We did get some takeaways from one of the gentlemen who's listening to us on Twitter. You can find him. His name is Dave Harmon at Dave Harmonizer1. Dave is, I think, also somebody who likes Liverpool. And last week, he actually helped to open up the Anfield stand again. And on his vehicle, he displayed an RB Leipzig scarf, which I found really interesting. Not sure if Konate or Shopo actually took notice of that, but thank you for flying the flag. But here we go. These are his 3 takeaways from the game. And he was as frustrated as we were. He thinks that Coach Rose needs to learn how to counter teams that park the bus. Good examples for that was when we played Bochum and now Mainz. Not so sure about Wolfsburg. During those games, our team was really kind of clueless, had no idea how to break the opposition down, who was really defending very deeply. And they also seemed to switch off in the last quarter of the field, i.e., not creating many chances. And especially now in the Mainz game, I think we had 2 shots on goal. One was a great one by Xavi, and a very good save by the Mainz goalie Zentner. So heads off to that. But other than that, there was very little going on in terms of creating danger, stressing them, asking questions. That was so unusual, so not anticipated, at least by myself, maybe by yourself, after the Cologne game. So, yeah, we need to learn. Rosa needs to learn how his team can counter teams that park the bus and be more alert in the last quarter. What do you think about that, Richard? Is that a fair comment?
Absolutely. No doubt
Dave,
about
you
that.
done well.
No doubt about that. And this is we chatted about that topic for all season long so far as I can remember.
Mm.
We talked about, hey, we win our games because of our efficiency. We don't play great. We don't create many chances. And as you might remember, we were alert. Hey,
Mm.
this will not held up forever. So there will matches where we don't use one of our few chances to score, and then we will most likely end up in a draw or even lose games against mediocre or even, yeah, bad teams. So like Mainz, in my opinion, is a bad team, one of the worst in the whole league. So
Don't let Guido Schäfer hear that. You know, the guy who never got relegated with Mainz when he played
yeah,
in
but
the
he
second
he don't
division.
listen
No,
to us anyway.
no.
Um,
So you can just tell him that all day
mm,
long. It's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Maybe you should tag him in our next episode. Okay.
Again,
Um,
I will do that.
yeah, fine. Okay,
But I'm
so
not sure about his English, to be honest.
Gino knows best. He knows everything. So what do we do? What could Roach Coach Rosa do? In my opinion, um, if we don't, so if we are not able to outplay our opponents when they are parking the bus in front of their penalty box, and just like our former coach Alexander Zorniger said in a press conference on Friday, I watched it when he was asked why Kräuter Fürth wasn't able to outplay this fourth string club Homburg in the cup competition when they went out 2-1. And Sonica said, replied to this question, okay, outplay an opponent who parks the bus is the hardest thing to do. This is
Hmm.
supreme discipline. Like 85 to 90% of all teams cannot do this. And I think he's absolutely right with that. So this is no wonder to me that we are struggling in this department. So what are we, well, what I think we should do is hand the ball over, okay? Our opponents, if you want to beat us, here's the ball. Try to beat us with the ball. Okay. So
Hmm.
sit a little deeper. Play the long ball by ourselves. Don't be afraid to play the long ball. And don't press too high. I often said that. Don't try to gain the ball deep in the opponent's territory. So,
But to be honest, what happens if the other team doesn't want the ball either? I mean, great match to watch, isn't it? How do you counterattack? Do you have a counterattack that? Do you have maybe an example where this tactic worked?
in my opinion, it worked well against Cologne.
Hmm.
You see, the first three goals didn't came in terms where we was in ball possession for a long time before the goal. Um, the first one, so it was a penalty, of course, but that sequence that led to the penalty was we gained the ball deep in our territory, played the long ball, which didn't receive the intended target. But then Haidara came and
Hmm.
pressed,
True.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
Hadara came. But in this very special moment, and there was some havoc in this Cologne defense, which we could use in our favor.
But you
And
know what was another difference? Players were alert to the situation. Haidara wasn't really in that situation directly. When the long ball was hit, he was crossing the box in order to get there because he saw an opportunity to stress the opponent and to get something out of it, which was a penalty then. So that I think Dave's comment about being switched off in the last quarter is very fair. So and it was different when we played versus Cologne.
yeah, indeed, but we didn't have to circle the ball around.
Mm,
That,
true.
that, that was never the case in the whole Cologne game. So I think it was easier for us because Cologne always wants to participate in a match. Steffen Baumart always wants to be creative, to play football, to go for the goal, to go for the win. Um, it is no shame that Mainz didn't had this approach because they lost like I don't know 14 games in a row. Now they were 14 winless games in a row, and the coach left the club. And I said in our episode that I don't expect that this will affect the approach of Mainz. Obviously, I was a little wrong because
Mm.
it was clear and obvious that they did had not in mind to create some chances on their own.
Can I interrupt you? They did exactly what you said. They set the trap that we shouldn't have fallen into. In our last episode, you mentioned exactly that. And when Mainz had this counter attack in the 77th minute and they scored this first goal, I think it was exactly that situation that they were waiting for to exploit that. Sort of a lucky punch they were waiting for, but this was really, really nicely played. Um, and 12 minutes before the end of the game. So well done to them. And our team seemed to be stunned, seemed to be frustrated, seemed to be out of pace as well. Bit tired, but I guess tired because the whole thing didn't work. And I saw an interview on Sky with Xaver Schlager, and he was just clueless. Why did they lose? They had possession of the ball most of the time. He thought they created some chances, but he did not disclose or his feelings about okay, or he didn't seem to realize that our team was harmless in the last quarter. There was nothing much going on apart from one or two situations. Even in the Bochum game, that was different, and I think maybe the Bochum game was more the approach that you were talking about, because they were passing the ball a lot more, and they did create some of the chances, which led to two penalties. And if you convert one of them, we would be ahead of Stuttgart and Dortmund right now. But with the Mainz game, nothing happened. Almost nothing happened. That's what it seemed like from the outside. I mean, it's always probably unfair to the players, but they earn a lot more money than we ever will together in
Yeah.
2 lives, 5 lives. So there you
Hopefully,
go.
hopefully they watched
Take that on chin.
hopefully they watched the tape when they were riding home to see how shitty that the performance
Uh,
was.
it was frustrating. Sorry,
Okay,
but I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
no, I'm okay. So let's talk about something hopefully nicer. What is ahead of us?
Yeah, our girls handball team won today, 12-0. Just to,
Yeah.
just on the good side. And my daughter scored one goal at least. It was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, let's look forward to Tuesday. Very important game. Something which they earned from last year's performance, and also in their performance of the Champions League so far. So we're going to Belgrade. Is it going to be the same, or is it going to be different? What do you think, Richard?
Introducing our next opponent, their ignorant check.
I think it's going to be a lot different than what we saw 2 weeks ago in our first leg, in our 3-1 victory, because we are now in a very comfortable situation. So we have our destiny in our own hands to reach the
Mm.
season's UCL knockout stage, winning in. Well, but there's just one little problem. Um,
There's a
Red Star,
problem.
yes,
What?
Red Star just doesn't lose at home. Okay,
Well,
they don't
Union
do it.
never used to lose for a long time either. Come on.
Hmm. Okay, do you know when they lost last time at home?
1997?
Nearly. It
Oh,
was almost exactly 2 years ago. It was in
Jesus.
November 2021 when
And
they lost
who did they lose to? Some
Midtjylland.
Okay,
They,
so not
they,
even
no, they
not
lost.
even a huge big international team, but
No,
still.
no, they lost to
Wow.
Midtjylland from Denmark, 0-1 in that Europa League group stage.
Wow.
And before that loss, they didn't lose for 2 years.
No.
Again, yeah, and the and the other loss it was at home back in 2019 was at 06. Uh,
Here's Phrasenschwein time again. So it's a hard nut to crack, isn't it, Richard?
it is, but there seems to me maybe there's a certain pattern I spotted.
Okay.
Somehow, every 2 years in November, they are losing the home game.
Is it that time again?
Maybe, so now it's our turn. No, okay, so let's talk about something a little bit more seriously. From Belgrade's perspective, this is their big chance. Okay, so they
Mm.
are sitting on 1 point in the group, just like Young Boys. Young Boys are heading to Man City. Well, they will. 100%
There'll be
lose
blood.
this game. Okay, maybe by double digits, we will see. And so this is Belgrade's chance. So Belgrade's fifth game will be at Bern in week
That's
5
the
UCL.
decider.
And if they can drive there with 4 points, um, um, so they will have their destiny by themselves in their own hands, and their goal is to play European football in January and February. So their goal is the Europa League at least, and with a win here and maybe a win at Bern, we will have to match up with Man City, and we all know how this thing will
Piece of
end.
cake.
Um, so they even
For
got a
City.
chance to win 2 in a row, and yeah, will in the end land on the second spot before that final game by themselves. So I expect Belgrade here to push to throw everything they got to get us 3 points, and that will hopefully lead to a little more space, a little more lawn to act for us. So this thing will nothing like we saw against Mainz. This thing will nothing like we saw in our first encounter with Belgrade. This is going to be something completely different.
Okay. But do you expect our defense to be strong enough to withstand that pressure? Because they might start in their starting 11 with 3 very good players they put on the pitch, substituted in the last game. I forgot the numbers, but these one of the guys scored the equalizer.
It,
Sorry, the one goal. Sorry, it
yeah,
was
the
an
one goal,
equalizer.
it came by Stamenic, if I remember correctly, not number 6.
Mm,
So yeah, Belgrade gave a little rest to their key players in their last league match. So they won 3-1 against Radnik Sudulica or something
sounds
like that.
great to me. I mean, that is very authentic.
And there was no number 23, Milan Rodic, no number 33, Mihailovic,
Oh,
no number
okay.
15, Dragovic, no number 66, Huang, no number 6, Stamenic, no number 30, Bukhari. The captain,
They're well rested. They're
yeah,
well
they're well
rested.
rested now. So the captain, number 15, Alexander Dragovic, and wasn't even on the roster.
Okay,
So he had a day off. Okay, as simple as that.
perfect.
And it shows me that they will do anything what's in their control to bring out their 11 very best players they got to force the victory.
Okay, okay. So, but our defense, do you think is going to be strong enough to withstand that pressure? Bearing in mind, Willi's not there.
Yeah, but they, you know, they showed some nice approaches
Mm,
in the second half when Bukhari came in and number 22 Mihailovic came in. But at the end, it was almost always like a one man show. So number 30 came up with some dangerous moves and then tried to find his teammates in the box. That is where the problem started for Belgrade,
hmm
in my opinion. Um, so they are capable of scoring 1 or even 2 goals. Okay, yeah, but we are capable of doing that as well.
Okay, yeah, more than capable. We should be, especially if maybe it's going to help us if we don't possess the ball so much. Maybe there is more scope to get back to this fast-paced game with counterattacks, with lots of room, and maybe score early even to take the pressure off and quiet the crowd a little bit. Maybe they chant all the time. I don't know. Maybe they like Union,
This is gonna be
bit more
loud.
aggressive.
44,000 in Maracana. But with that being said, the Belgrade players aren't used to that as well. Okay, so
True.
it's true because usually I watch some tape from their home games. There are like 5,000, 6,000. The
Wow.
attendance is like that
Really?
low almost always, except from that derbies against Partizan, of course. But in this bad and brother games, this whole stadium feels like it's empty. So they are not used to it either. Maybe they're struggling with their communication too.
Could be. So it's going to be really interesting. Tuesday, keep your fingers crossed. I mean, the best outcome would be, of course, a win, and we get through to the last 16. quite early, and that would help us now with the rest of the season with the other tests that we have, and we'll talk a little bit about more in depth what it all means with the current performance on our episode on Thursday. But Richard, we're all waiting and dying to hear what is coaches Richard's starting 11 for that match.
I would send out three center backs again. Blazovic in between the goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
Simakan, Klostermann, and Lukeba as our three center backs. Henrichs Raum because we are lacking of any alternatives on our outside positions.
Mm,
Midfield, Schlager and Campbell. Xavi, of course, we have to rely on his capabilities. And our strikers, this time Openda and Forsberg. And those 11 and some substitutions in the second half will lead us to a 2-all draw.
yeah. See, there was one. Didi Hamann had a comment after the Mainz game, and that reminded me of the Union game. He said that RB Leipzig should have had much more power on their bench to bring in the second half, but it seemed like Rose waited a long time. You're shaking your head. Why? Didi Hamann is an expert. I
Now
mean, even
I
Tuchel had
will
to concede.
I would like to explain this in our next episode because
Wonderful. Let's do a cliffhanger here.
because we have another question from ex Twitter from Belham,
Oh yeah.
where he asked something about Bayer Leverkusen, and I looked what Bayer is doing.
Mhm.
They are everything but a rotation machine. Okay, but this is a little more about I want to say, and yeah,
Cool.
since we're now
Yeah, we need a bit more time for
we're
that.
20 minutes into the show, so let's do this on Tuesday, on Thursday.
How optimistic are you? What's your prediction in terms of score for Tuesday? Sorry, I missed the game. If I could tune in on Tuesday, Wednesday.
2-all draw.
2-2 draw. I still gonna go for a 2-1 win for us. It's gonna be marvelous, and everything's gonna be great again.
So you're right. Maybe it's November again, and
It's
and
November.
it's time to lose in
Remember
Belgrade, right?
I don't know, something November. Anyways, Richard, thank you. Thank you for looking at that hard game versus Mainz, and thank you, Dave, for sending in your comments. Hopefully, we presented them in the right way. If you want to hear from us, no, sorry, the other way around. We like to hear from you. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do it via Twitter. You can find us on rbleglobaltracks.com at podcast RBL. And you could drop us an old school email at talk to us at rbleglobaltracks.com. And thank you, Richard, for your preview to the match on Tuesday. Well, wish you a good start to the new week. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Leave us a good review. That would be excellent. And maybe some stars. That would be brilliant. And hope to hear again on Thursday. So, auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.